God has the ultimate wisdom that he gave us free will. And a lot of us think that free will is a curse, that you shouldn't give a created thing free will. But the free will is given to us so that you can choose between right and wrong. But now, the catch is, what if the only options you are given is wrong? But you don't even know it. You know, because we believe we are free to choose as we will. Let me give you a choice. I have 4 books here. Any Muslims in here? Okay, I couldn't put the Quran down. I ain't want nobody to jump on me. Y'all sure? I'll use another book. I don't take it. Hey, Muslims are serious about that Quran. Y'all think I'm playing? Oh, yeah. Here you are. There are 3 books. You have 3 books down there. You can choose any book you like. You feel you have the freedom of choice, don't you? I limited your choice to 3. What about the 1,000 other books there in the world? But if I limit your choices, do you really have freedom of choice? No. But you are made to think you do. You go to the store. Man, I can go in here and choose anything off the shelf I want. What about the stuff that ain't on the shelf? Do you really have freedom? Or is your freedom made to believe or made to look like freedom, but really it's just a form of slavery and tricking you into believing that you got freedom of choice? This is why I believe God has given me this course called Life 101. We got to know, we have to understand what is really going on with us. I ain't talking about the white man. Now, in your folders, you'll see that we're going to move to, I think it's page 3, where it talks about purpose at the bottom there. Say, what is the purpose of life? You see the definition of purpose? And these are questions that a lot of us ask at the bottom. Say, what is the purpose of life? Why am I here? What is the reason behind all of this thing that I seem to be experiencing in life? What is behind all of this? And we may ask ourselves these questions, but we never get answers. And if we do get answers, are they really satisfactory answers? You know, we get, at least I have. I don't know if maybe y'all different. What is the purpose for life? If we move to page 4, it says all these questions are intertwined and simply a variation of each other. They are basically all related. We will examine these questions and their deepest core, and hopefully we will be able to gain some understanding. These questions have been plaguing man from eons, or for eons. Not all individuals necessarily raise these questions. Some live their lives in such a deep sleep that there is no need for or to ask these questions. Now, I heard Minister Anthony earlier speaking about the different, 4 different types of disciples? Or was it 5, 4? 4, okay. So there are different types of people. And we're about to go into that now so that you can kind of find out which one are you. It says life is a daily routine for us. And for many of us it is. We wake up every day at a certain time, go to work, do our daily chores, come back home, sleep, get ready for another day. Life is simply a daily survival. No questions are being asked. Hence, no answers are needed. Life just flows, but only in one direction. Life becomes linear, like a line, nothing more. No new flavor, no new joy, but we are okay with such a life. Now, I teach this all the time. How many people have ever been in the hospital? Have you been hooked up to one of those machines where it goes beep, beep, beep? What happens when the line goes beep? Well, my point is that if you look at that little monitor, life, the indicator that means that life is present is ups and downs. You're always going to have peaks and valleys in life. Everything ain't going to be peaches and cream. I don't care how Christian you are. I don't care how Islamic you are. Everything, I mean, you could be the most godliest person on the planet, and you're still going to experience some ups and downs. That's what life is all about. The problem is, how do you deal with it? You know, I mean, we have come to the point where we understand that there's 12 hours of light and 12 hours of darkness, right? We accept the darkness because we know what? The light's coming in the morning, right? But yet and still, when things happen to us in our lives, we go through challenges. We experience challenges. You know, you get pulled over by the police. Okay, you didn't have a driver's license. They give you a ticket or they take you to jail. You know, that's a bummer. You experiencing a low. That does not mean that you just chalk your whole life up as to, I'm just a nobody, I'm a bum, nothing goes right for me, I can't never do nothing right, woe is me, woo, 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 woo. And when you begin to think like that, you draw these things to yourself. If you begin to think that nothing goes right for you, guess what? It won't. It won't. Everything, what's that, what they say, everything that can go wrong will go wrong. What is that? Murphy's Law. There you go. You create that for yourself. You know, so we have to be very careful when we are striving in this area of understanding what life is all about. You know, because we think, or we've been taught to believe, that everything is supposed to be straight. You're supposed to walk straight. Stand up straight. Sit straight. Hold your head up straight. We've been made to believe that everything is straight. But straight is an indicator or a sign of death. Because nothing, the world ain't even created straight. It got a wobble in it. Yes, the earth. It has a wobble. It's not even straight, perfect circle. So why are we held to such perfection? Because they know you can't live up to it. And when you fail enough trying to live up to what they have defined for you as perfection, then you begin to think bad about yourself. I can't get nothing right. I can't do this. I can't. And when you begin to start thinking like that, you begin to start acting like that. This is the reason why we are beginning to find ourselves in the condition of our children. The fruit does not fall far from the tree. You can't look at crazy children and then go home and knock on the door. Don't think a crazy mama and daddy ain't going to open it. We got to stop looking at the effect. Like I say, we like looking at the effect of things. Look at that these bad kids. Well, where the bad mama? Where the bad daddy? See, we don't look at these things. But the problem is that we don't have normal mamas and daddies no more. We got traumatic mamas and daddies that have been traumatized at a young age, and now they're in a position of nurturing and guiding another living being, and they too doggone selfish into themselves because they still have the mentality of a child themselves. Competing with your child now. Mama trying to steal the daughter boyfriend. I know I ain't lying. This is what we have created for ourselves. We can't blame no white man for that. Only thing you can blame the white man for is lying to you. You blame yourself because you believed it. So look, it says, one day, right there, it says, one day death comes and we die completely unaware of the tremendous potential hidden inside of us. We could have we could have been a Buddha or a Christ. Now let me stop right there. A lot of people, we have been taught that Buddha was some fat person. That we see the statues. Some little fat, chubby person. And Buddha is not, or Christ, I have to tell you, Christ is not a person. It's a title, like president. Jesus had ascended or evolved to the level of a Christ, meaning his mentality, how he thought, was a Christ-like consciousness. He had evolved to that level. So he then received the title Christ, so his name was Jesus the Christ. But we have been made to call him Jesus Christ and leave the part out. See, and so now we believe that Christ is his last name. So that means that if that's him, that's his name, you don't have the potential or the ability to rise to that level. See, if you have been made to believe that because your life looks like this, ups and downs, you make mistakes, you sin, well, a lot of it be like this. Y'all know what I'm talking about. We be in the low sometimes a little long. But in all actuality, that's life. You are supposed to learn from the lows. Can you imagine going outside? You step outside of your house, you walk to your vehicle, and there's a crack in the sidewalk, and you trip over the crack. The next day you come back, and you trip over the same crack. And the next day you come back, you trip over the same crack. Nothing wrong with the crack, right? Something wrong with you. How is it that you don't know that crack is there? And you trip over it every day. See, this is our problem. We keep making the same mistakes over and over and over again, and we ain't learning from them. We're not learning. And nobody's trying to teach us how to learn from our mistakes. Mistakes is just what it is. I made a mistake. All right, let's move on.
My bad.
Right, my bad. Move on. It was just a mistake. What's the lesson to be learned? Because see, everything that we go through in this life, every experience there's a lesson in it. Everything teaches us something. And if we aren't looking for the lesson, it's only two reasons why. Either we don't want to grow, or we can't grow because we stuck at another development stage, and we can't learn on this level. Can you imagine trying to learn college algebra with a grammar school mentality? You can attempt it, you won't be very successful. And so you begin to find yourself only allowing yourself to be around and associate with people that are on the same mental level that you are. So you see old people kicking it with young folks. I mean, I'm only saying that. I'm not saying it to be funny, but it's sad, really, because this is what's creating the madness that we see in our communities. Now, let's move on. It says, we live, I'm in on the fourth paragraph, in the middle, it says, we live in unawareness. Y'all see where the fourth paragraph? The third line. We live in unawareness. Y'all see it? Yes. Okay. We live in unawareness, a deep hypnotic sleep, and die in unawareness. Maybe in our next life, we will be a little more aware. See, what this is saying here is that we go through our life in like a zombie-type sleep mode. Never aware of nothing, because we don't ask no questions about nothing. We complain. Why they raise the bus fare? Why they do this? Why the gas prices going up? We ask questions, and then when you don't get answers, then we complain a little bit, and then you shut up and you go back to sleep. Maybe in the next life. Now, what is this next life? See, you can, let me say it like this. In the scripture, it talks about taking off the old man and putting on the new man. What that means is that you can change who you are. You can change. If there are some things about you that need to be changed, you have the ability to do that, to change yourself. But it's all based on changing this, how you think. I mean, that's the bottom line. If you can't change how you think about yourself, then your actions will never change. Because your actions are nothing but a reflection of your thoughts. If you walk around on the defense all the time, it's because you think everybody's against you. You think like that. Now, some traumatic experience, something that you have experienced in life, makes you think like that. This is why we need counseling, someone to talk to help us to be able to come out of that kind of thought process. To gain your mind back. So now, it says in the 5th paragraph, some people will raise these questions in their own lifetime out of frustration. They are deeply unsatisfied with the events happening in life, extremely exhausted from all of the efforts and not finding peace and contentment anywhere. Out of this group of individuals, some seek for an answer and become what is called seekers. They seek after knowledge. They're looking for the answer to the challenge, the thing that's bothering them about this life. Remember, I told y'all I felt there's something more. So I became a seeker. I started looking. I started reading books. I brought these books out. I started reading books. Here's one, Sugar Blues. Excellent book. Gives you the 411 how sugar is killing you. And it's in everything. How sugar used to be illegal. Yeah, sugar used to be illegal. Normal folks couldn't have sugar. It was only for the royalty. When you begin to read stuff like this, then you have a person that, like, when you learn the truth, you get mad. You like, damn, I wish I didn't know. Now I can't, you mean to tell me I can't eat my macaroni and cheese? I can't have my Snickers no more? I can't. When you start finding out how these things are affecting you and how it affects how you think, you'll begin to see that this type of knowledge, this kind of information, helps us to begin the process called change. Here's a book about a brother named Marcus Garvey, the Philosophies and Opinions of Marcus Garvey. We teach and study Marcus Garvey every year. There's a reason for it. Because the man, the experiences that he had in his life were a lesson for us if we were to know what they were. How is it this man did what he did and our children don't know nothing about him? Why do they keep him out of history? Or why are they trying to write him out of history? We need to know that. Because if they think it's not good or they don't want us to have it, that means it's good for you. Anything they don't want me to have, I want it. I might have to reword that one. Because they'll trick you with that. Do not use drugs. Drugs is not good for you. Yes, say no. And they know psychologically, when you tell a person no, they become curious, and that means yes. So that's why I said I had to be a little more clear on that. But anyway, stolen legacy. Information about how the Greek philosophers, Plato, Aristotle, and all of them, how they stole all of this so-called philosophy that they are claiming to be the authors of. They stole it from ancient Africa, ancient Kim, ancient Egypt, from black people. They stole it. They came over and they studied from us. And then they went back to Greek and said that this was their information. They sent Alexander the Great back to kill everybody else that knew it wasn't theirs. That's how they roll, ain't it? But this excellent book, based on that. But there's so many books. Now, these last two books, numerology, we're going to get into that. These two books is one of the main ones I want you to know about. The lost books of the Bible. Y'all don't believe that there's some books that they took out of the Bible that you don't know nothing about. So that means there are stories and experiences that went on in the Bible that you don't know nothing about. Now, why they take them out? And why they leave the ones in that they left in? And did you know this? The Gospels, what they call it, the 4 Gospels? Do you know that 3 of the authors of those 4 Gospels never met Jesus?
Yeah. Yeah.
Never met him. Matthew, Mark, and Luke, they were disciples of Paul. They never met Jesus. But they books is in the Bible. There was a man by the name of Barnabas that was with Jesus. They took his book out. Yeah, I'd be like, do that really make sense? Why would they take the book of a man that was with Jesus out and put one in that never met him?
And wrote the book 50 years later.
Right, after Jesus was dead. He wrote his version of the gospel. 40 years after the man was dead. And we read it like it's law. Lost books of the Bible. The Aquarian Gospel. You want to really know about Jesus Christ? Read these books. You'll find the real truth. They'll tell you about what Jesus did between 12 and 30. He acted just like we did. You got a 12-year-old? Why you think they took it out? They don't want you to know. We on the right path. That's a part of life. These kids, they gonna act like this. We just have to expect that. But look, let me move forward because we got a little bit of time left. Any questions? No? Okay. Everybody clear, right? All right. Let's move on. I think this is 6.
I got a question.
Yes, sir.
What was the other book besides the lost books of the Bible?
The Aquarian Gospel.
The who?
Aquarian.
Aquarian.
Yeah, like the fish tank.
Right.
Aquarian Gospel of Jesus Christ.
Okay.
Jesus the Christ, I should say.
Okay.
Yes. And it's by Levi. That's the author. You can get it. Well, you might not be probably. Can you still get these out?
You gotta go on the white folks and they can look for that.
Yeah, no, what's wrong with that picture?
Internet.
You can get off the internet?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so you can get these books along with the lost book of the lost books. Let me emphasize that. Books of the Bible. They didn't just take 1 or 2 out, or a bunch of them out. You know, because there's some stories and there's some things they don't want you to know that really went on dealing with Jesus. Now, in the 6th paragraph, it says, others from this group may get lost in the web of these questions. They run here and there looking for answers. They get more confused as their logic and reasoning fails. They live, their lives become hell and ultimately on the verge of nervous breakdown. You know, we got brothers and sisters that are like that. We strive and we search for the truth, and then you think you got it, then you find out you ain't got it. You know, and we got these folks, and I hope I ain't offending nobody. These deep thinkers, you know, trying to be so deep and be crazy as hell. No, seriously, it's not that serious. You know, I'm a firm believer in keeping it simple. We say keep it simple, stupid. Keep it simple. We ain't got to fly all off into the universe and the extragalactic forces of the planetary universe and all of this. Jesus said, why should I teach you of those things? You don't understand the natural stuff that you see every doggone day. Why don't you try to learn something about that first instead of jumping off into extragalactic planet leapfrogging and all that? I know that don't make sense, but I just made it up. I told you, if Jesse can do it, I can. So let's just keep it simple. Understand that it's all about you and how you think. Now, whoever controls how you think controls how you act. And it's very clear. Even though we think we are in control of ourselves, even though we think it, we are controlled by what we see. I mean, because if a new style of wearing your hair came out tomorrow, there are those of us, I'm not saying all, there are those of us that would have to go out and get that new style. And I ain't talking about kids either. But these people, they strive so much for all of this deep knowledge, they drive themselves crazy looking for it. And the answer is right before your face. It's right here. It's so simple. And then it says, finally, there are some people who are conscious and have understood the meaning of these questions, so they don't become bothered with them. They have their own way of living and don't allow these questions to become a hindrance. They have already gone beyond and believe that they understand the answers of these questions. Now, you can read the rest of that on your own, but I want to move to the next page, which deals with understanding yourself. We have to understand ourselves before you can understand somebody else. We're the kind of people that we're so quick to judge other people. We're really quick. We can do this quick. And I was always taught, whenever you point the finger, there are 3 more pointing back at you. And that's an indication that it all starts with you. Look what it says. This is understanding yourself. Freedom versus bondage. All of our lives we have been taught to fight and struggle for something called freedom. Freedom by definition means a state in which somebody is able to act and live as as he or she chooses, without being subject to any undue restraints or restrictions. Now, I ask the question again. If you think you are free, then why then are you under restrictions? Why don't you just ride through a stoplight? Drive on the sidewalk. You free to do what you choose, right? No, we are under some restrictions. And we accept those restrictions. Why? Because we believe that those restrictions create what we believe is order. Now, we live in a world full of restrictions and laws denying us the freedom of what we seek. In the spiritual world of our Creator God, restraints and restrictions have been placed upon man through commandments that forbid man from certain activities. Now, all of us have seen, well, maybe not all, but most of us have seen the Bible story or whatever. You've seen the story of Moses with the 10 Commandments. Thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not have no other God before me, thou shalt not, thou shalt not, thou shalt not. We've seen those. These laws are supposed to be restrictive laws that we are supposed to live by. We're supposed to guide ourselves by. We're supposed to raise our children by these. But again, if I'm in the club juking, I ain't thinking about thou shalt not. But these restrictive laws God gave us in order that we may be able to put ourselves in some type of boundaries by which order can be created. Just like we believe order is created through the rules and laws that the white man has created. God created these commandments in order to create order. Now, how can anything, I'm in the third paragraph now, how can anything that has been created have the freedom to do what it wants to do other than the purpose for which it was created? We was talking about this a little earlier, dealing with the robot. Unless you are self-created, you will always be under the control of your Creator and those that He has placed over you. Free will, on the other hand, has moved us to believe that there is a way to obey God without being under his or anyone's control. See, this is where humanity is right now. We do not want anybody to tell us what to do. Nobody. Mama, daddy, we can't wait to get out. I know my son can't wait to get away from us. Well, no, but then again, no, he don't. We don't want nobody telling us what to do. You know, because we got our own way of doing things. You know, in school, you had to do what the teacher said. You had to, when you was young, to do what your mama said. Do what your grandmama said. Medea. You know, some of us, you know, we was raised by Medea. You know, you had to do what Medea or grandmama told us. And when we got older, we just got buck wild because we were at an age now we could do what we wanted to do. So this thing, this little mechanism that we have been given, it seems to give us the freedom to be able to do some of what God wants. You know how you go to somebody's house and they serve you some food, and you pick off the plate what you want and leave the other stuff. You're like, I don't know what that is. And so you leave that there, right? Or I don't really like that, so I'll leave it on the plate and I won't eat, right? This is how we do God's commandments. You know, we pick the ones that we like. When we're dealing with these commandments, let's just take the first one. Thou shalt have no God before me, because I'm a jealous God, right? Well, we can use our own interpreting skills and say, well, that just means that I'm not going to, when I go to church, I'm not worshiping the devil, and I'm not worshiping Allah, I'm not worshiping Jehovah, I'm worshiping Jesus. You see? And because you think like that, and you've been taught to think like that, you believe that you're only worshiping one God. My God is the one God, and I'm worshiping my God. But whether we understand or whether we know it or not, there are many gods. Wait, let me just ask this question. How many people like money? Money is a God. Money is a God. I'm not saying it's the God. Money is a God because God is the thing that we worship. And if you give value to money, then money then becomes a thing of worship. Like we give value to our flat screens. You know, our things, surround sound. You know, our 2013 Cadillac Escalade. You know, these things become of value to us, so they become our God. And we become hurt when something happens to them. You see, so now what I'm saying is that when you begin to look at all of these different things and begin to realize even cigarettes. Can you believe some people cannot live a day or go a day without having a cigarette? That cigarette now has value, extreme value, to the point where if you take it away from them, they will fight you. This is how you're supposed to be about God. And so when God said, thou shalt have no other God before me, you thinking it's just because you say Jesus that you clear. And you following his commandments. You on point. No, you're not. If you give value to anything other than him, you have broken that commandment. Anything. Now, I even have to go this far and say this much. If you don't know who God is, then you have totally lost in understanding that first commandment. Because if you believe that a man by the name of Jesus is God, you have been taught wrong. That is not God. Because I don't believe Jesus was a ventriloquist. In the Bible, when he was being baptized, and a voice came down from heaven and said, this is my son in whom I am well pleased. He threw his voice and talked to himself? No. He even said it himself. I only do the will of my Father which is in heaven. He said that. Letting you know that there is a difference between God and Jesus. So the only reasons for making you to believe that Jesus is God is to make you break this law. I'll give you another one. Where in the commandment that says, thou shalt have no engraven idols or images. I might be paraphrasing. And thou shalt not bow down to them or worship them. I see the Catholic Church all day long kissing the feet of Mother Mary. These statues, engraven images. Anything that has been carved out in the image of anything that's on the earth, that means if you got a ceramic sculpture of a dog in your house, that breaks that commandment. If you have a mask on your wall of a witch doctor, you know how they have the more African masks? That breaks that commandment. And we don't even know it. They sell it to us. You see what I'm saying? Jesus went into the temple and was turning over them tables of people that were selling things and doing these type of things because it's against God. But if you don't know better, you can't do better. Why aren't they teaching us this? Why do we not know it? Why do they want you to believe that Jesus is God? And then why do they want you to believe that he's white? When the Bible clearly states that he has hair like lamb's wool. I've never met a white man with lamb wool hair. Never. And let me add those words. Feet like fine brass, as if it was burnt in the oven. Now, anything burnt is wood. So why do they make you put the white picture up? See, again, it's all based on how you think. If you think that God is white, then your whole actions, your character is based upon now being submissive to white folks. That's the reason they teach you like this. It comes from slavery. In slavery, they wanted you to be submissive. In slavery, they wanted you to bow down. They wanted you to do what they wanted you to do. They wanted you to obey them. They wanted you to look up to them like gods. So this perpetuated all the way over into religion. Because whether you know it or not, brothers and sisters, religion did not come from God. God didn't. Answer me this question. What religion was Adam? Was he a Muslim? Was he a Christian? Oh, Christ. Jesus wasn't even born yet, was he? He wasn't a Christian. What was his religion? And if religion is so important, why didn't he have one? Adam didn't have religion. You know what his religion was? Obey God. Obey me. That was it. And when he didn't obey God, what happened? He got the boot, didn't he? They got kicked out. So again, now you're beginning. Now this is just what I would consider a tip of the iceberg. What y'all are understanding today is just a tip. Knowing that you've been lied to about God. Making you think that it was Jesus. And Jesus was telling you, it's not me. No. He keep pointing, and the rulers of this world, they keep saying, no, you worship Jesus. Or you worship Allah. Or you worship Jehovah. And then now we all fight with each other over which God is the real God. You had a question?
When you said that God's not created religion, is that God the one supreme, or is that the God family?
God is considered or called the great all. He's everywhere, all at the same time. Right? The great all. Now, we know, and we teach here in the temple, that the creator of the heavens and earth is not a physical being. He's not flesh and blood like us. He's not. He can live, his spirit can live inside of this, which is what we are. We are his spirit. We come from him. And we live inside of this. See, many of us believe that the flesh is who we are, but it's not. It's just like a car. You know, you go buy a car, and when you get in the car and you start up, you drive around, the car is not you. You are inside of the car, and you're just using the vehicle to get around. And this is what the Spirit of God is doing inside of these vehicles. And the Spirit of God is you and I. We are representatives of him in the flesh, in it. What Sister Angela was asking is based upon there are different levels in the hierarchy of God, of the God family, or the God protocol, I call it. You know, just like you have you might have a protocol that says you have a president, a vice president, a chairman of the board or whatever, you know, and you have those various protocols. Well, God has that same protocol within his setup. And God, the creator of the universe, did not actually create you and I. Now see, that's what I'm saying. This goes into some deep stuff that I don't think we're ready for right now. Because we have to understand the stuff that we see, right, before we can get into stuff you can't see. But just to clear that up so that you can see it just a little bit better, you created an app in your mind. You thought about it first and said, man, you know, I wonder if I could create an app that would allow me to start my car or open my door and use my cell phone to do it. And then you have the information and the knowledge and the technology to be able to create that app, right? Then you put the information down, because you got to map it out first, right? And you get somebody to create it for you. You are the creator, but you didn't create it. You see what I'm saying? You got someone else to do it. So now this is kind of what where we're going. That's why she was asking, am I talking about the God that created us, or am I talking about the Almighty God? You see, because the Almighty God, the creator of the heavens and earth, didn't have anything to do with creating us other than the fact that he created us in his mind. He thought about creating us, and then he went about, what you saying, might say, delegating. That's the word I'm looking for. Delegating that duty to some other beings. That's nothing for us to really trip on right now. It ain't got nothing to do with this. Okay, now I said it, erase. or file it, put it in the file cabinet and close the door. You know, we'll get back to that later. But what I want us to really understand is that God wants us to have the freedom to choose what it is that we desire, or who it is that we desire to follow. Because you're going to follow somebody, whether you want to or not. Either you're going to do right, or you're going to do wrong. So now, here in fifth chapter, the fifth paragraph, it says, when we chase after freedom as if we were a horse with a carrot dangling in front of us, we never find that freedom. We find ourselves serving some master at every turn. To serve God is to be free indeed, but to serve Satan or to be of the world is to be in bondage for sure. Now, some people may say, well, why do folks always say, if you serving Satan, you in the world? Do you all recall in the Bible where Jesus was in the wilderness and Satan came to him and he said, if you bow down to me, he was going to offer him what? The world, wasn't it? How could Satan offer him something he didn't have? See, this is what we have to understand. See, we aren't being taught this. We are being taught that when we are born into the world, we are born into the world of Satan. This is Satan's world. God gave it to him. Now, we don't have to accept what I'm saying, because again, I go back to what I said in the beginning. Many are called, few are chosen. Now, I have to ask this question though. If what I'm saying is not true, then the opposite of the equation has to be true. If I'm saying that the world is teaching us, as we are born into the world, we are being taught to do wrong automatically by the world. If what I'm saying is a lie, then the opposite is true. Then the world is teaching us to do right from birth. And if the world is teaching us to do right, why is it in this condition? I mean, we can just use common sense. If the world was teaching us the right way to be and the right things to do and the right way to think, then we should not be seeing what we see in the world today. So I want us to just use our own minds for a change. Think for yourself. I'm not saying believe what I say. Never do that. Always do your own due diligence and research. Everything somebody tells you. But then when you find out what you have heard is true, then now you have a job to do. You got some work to do on yourself. Now, man, look what I said. I didn't say, now go take it and beat somebody else up with it. You know that's why you crazy as hell. Because you in the world and you need to change. You need to change. No. Beat you up. And let your example of your life and your change be the light that draws others to change. You don't beat nobody into change. Because ain't nobody going to change unless they want to change. And I don't care how much you beat them and cuss them out and talk about them. It don't matter. You help people to change by you changing. When they see you, they supposed to look at you and say, man, I see something different in you. What did you do? Then you tell them what you did, and now that draws them into your light. That's how change happens. It starts with us. That's why Michael Jackson said it. You want to make the world a better place? Take a look at yourself. Take a look in the mirror and make a change. It starts with us. We have to do it. Don't go around taking this knowledge. You know, a lot of times we get knowledge just to prove that we know something. And go and share it with others that don't know it. And now we sitting there with our chest poked out like we the guru, you know, and we so wise now. And they don't know anything. Look, it says, Satan controls his servants through their emotions. Under God, emotions have no place. See, emotions come with the flesh. When you are born in the world, let me put it like this, before you are born, you were emotionless. The Spirit of God has no emotions. It's all about fact, truth, and right. It's unemotional. The flesh, now when we, in this flesh, we have all sorts of emotions. Anger, frustration, pain. But with God, there's no such thing. No place for it. It's God's way, regardless of how it makes you feel. See, God, when he created these commandments, he didn't care about whether you liked it or not, or whether you felt it was a good thing or not. It's what it is, you accept it or you don't. It says, but under Satan, you make decisions and follow rules and laws based upon how you feel about them. You see, if I want to follow the traffic laws today, I can. But what if I don't feel like it today? I just run every light. I can do that. I have to suffer the consequences. But I can do that. Because of what? I just don't feel like it. God ain't about that. It's the most painful emotion that we have experienced as human beings is rejection. That's the most painful emotion ever. How do we respond to rejection? Now here's some examples in the Bible. Now check this out. It says, now in the Holy Bible, Moses was rejected by the children of Israel after God through him delivered them from slavery. How did that make Moses feel? How do you think Moses felt after he went through all of that? You know, sending the plagues and the death angel came and all of that. And Pharaoh finally let them go. And they went out into the wilderness. And the children of Israel, you know, they was like, Moses, you brought us out here so we can die? We hungry. We need some food, Moses. Then manna came down, right? And they ate. And they still wasn't satisfied. They were still giving Moses hell. How you think that made Moses feel? How would it make you feel? You'd be like, the hell with y'all, I'm up. That's how we would react like that. Now here's another one. Look, Joseph was rejected by his brothers, who out of jealousy and envy sold their brother into slavery. Threw him in a hole. His own brothers. Now how you think Joseph felt? Rejected. Pissed off, wasn't he? But then he turned around and had to what? Save them. That takes some that's some strong love. He had to love his brothers more than they hated him. Look at the other one on the next page, 6. It says, David. Now look at King David. Well, he wasn't king then, but David was rejected by King Saul, who sought to kill David out of envy and jealousy. He hated David because the people were singing David's praises. And David wasn't king. They say Saul killed his thousands, but David killed his hundreds of thousands. So they saying like David was better than the king. The king like, what? David? So he tried to kill him. How did that make David feel? He loved the king. He was a faithful servant of the king. So rejection is something, brothers and sisters. When you feel this thing called rejection, and we're about to go into it right now. If you see, I'm going to skip the last one. We're going to go right into understanding yourself and rejection. Now, rejection, just by definition, is refusal of something or someone. Now, social rejection occurs when an individual is deliberately excluded from a social relationship or social interaction. You know, you're a part of the basketball team. And all the basketball teams sit at a certain table and lunch and eat. But you can't sit there. But you're on the team. How that make you feel? Rejection. Can you imagine? Even in your own family, you know, where you go to a family event and everybody's over having fun, laughing and joking, and you walk over and everything stops. You know, like, what you doing here? What you want? Like, hey, I want to join in too. You know, and then the whole group move and leave you standing there. How that make you feel? You see what I'm saying? That's the worst feeling in the world. And then it begins to create a certain mindset in the individual. It makes you think something wrong with you or something's not right. Now, many of us have experienced this at some point in time. You know, and when you experience that, remember when I was talking about the 5 stages of development? Depending upon when it happened to you. Now, as a baby, you're too young to understand what that is. But it's either from teenager all the way up. You can experience that. And so as a teenager, being rejected in school, that can cause that teenager to begin to think, or develop, maybe I should say, what is called low self-esteem. Where you begin to think lowly about yourself. You don't think much about yourself simply because the group or the family or my people, they seem like they don't like me. I ain't cool or something, you know, or I'm a leopard or I got AIDS or something. Man. Whenever I come around, everybody scattered. But then there's another form of rejection. It says the topic includes both interpersonal rejection or peer rejection. And, check this last one out, romantic rejection. Oh man, everybody done got that one. We done all got shot down, you know. A person can be rejected on an individual basis or by an entire group of people. Furthermore, rejection can be either active by bullying, teasing, or ridiculing, or it can be passive by ignoring a person or giving the silent treatment. You know, that's a form of rejection too. Hey, sister, what's your name? I'm talking to you.
You're being rejected.
Yeah, you know that. You begin to feel like, am I here? Maybe I'm invisible. Maybe I'm not speaking loud enough. Can you see me? Silent treatment or even bullying. It happens in school all the time. I know it happened when I was going to school. Walking down the hallway, the group come by and just knock your books all on the floor. No, or you, right? Like down there with the books. That's rejection. Especially if they're supposed to be quote unquote the cool people of the school. Or let's just even take it out of school. You at work. And you got a clique over here and they having fun, they enjoying, and here you come. Yeah, hey! Trying to get in on the conversation, and everybody get quiet. I guess I got to go back to work. And you're like, man, what you supposed to think? And how you supposed to feel? See, this thing called rejection is the thing that causes us to begin to, what can I call it? Where we begin to measure who and what we think of ourselves and who we are. Because you can only relate who you are based on the people that interact with you. And if nobody will interact with you, then something must be wrong with you, not them, right? That's how we think. But it's wrong. It's the other way around. Actually, something is wrong with them. And it's not you. But because we don't understand that God, there's a stage of development, spiritual development. We're not teaching on this right now, but I just want to share it with you. There's a spiritual stage of development that's called the aloneness or the oneness of God. That stage is where when you evolve to a level where you can't relate with nobody but Him. What I mean is, let me say it another way. If a person has not studied and put in the work as you have to develop yourself as a righteous human being, and as a righteous human being, you believe in doing what's right, saying what's right, and you find yourself around people that don't think and act like that, you have to then disassociate yourself with people that are like that. When you begin to start disassociating yourself, you find yourself alone. Y'all see what I'm saying? Now this is where the big challenge comes in, because nobody wants to be alone. So most times we reject our spirituality and go back to being a nigga, just so that we can fit in. And won't feel alone, and won't feel like I'm some freak or something's wrong with me because I just don't fit in. But in all actuality, that you have to go through that stage in order to evolve into what is the next stage called the Christ level. Being one with everything. Everything. Again, now that's a spiritual thing, and that's not where we're at today. But I only wanted to say that based upon this level of being alone or not wanting to be alone is something that we have to overcome. Now, we have about 15 more minutes, and I want to go to, on page 7, I want to deal with the signs and symptoms of aggression or passive aggressive behavior. On page 7, it says, ambiguity and cryptic speech. When you are ambiguous with your speak and you real like cryptic, what that means is you speak in code. When people speak in code to you, and if you never had nobody speak in code to you, it goes something like, let me see. You may ask a question. Hey, where's the bathroom? Well, bath is a place by which we bathe, and room is the room by which knowledge is developed, and we create ourselves out of a room. We come out of the womb of our mothers, and we bathe in the knowledge of the Creator. Did you get an answer? Very cryptic. You know, they speak in riddles, you know, and everything is, you know, yes, you know, you don't never get a straight answer out of people. Hey, what time you gonna get back? Oh, I'll be back. Well, how long you gonna be gone? Oh, I'll be back in a minute. Oh, you mean 60 seconds? No. I don't know. And give you all kind of little everything but answer your question. See, these are people that are kind of operating, and then the meaning here, it says, means of creating and feeling of insecurity in others, or a disguising one's own insecurity. That's when people speak like that, and they really are insecure themselves. But what they do when they do that, they make the other individual feel insecure. That's this ambiguity in cryptic speech. That's a sign of passive-aggressive behavior. Now, another sign of it is international inefficiency. Also being late or forgetting things as a way to avert control evert control or to punish. You know, if I'm depending on you to pick me up so that I can make it to work on time, and because you got a problem with me and you don't really like me, you always late picking me up. And I ain't figured it out that you don't like me. I think you my friend. I mean, really. You know, and you always late. You do this to me on purpose, to make me late. You know, so that now it's a form of punishment. I don't even know you punishing me for something that I did to you that I don't even know I did. You know, and so you're going to punish me now, and it has a sense of you having control over me. You know, I control you now. I determine whether you be late or on time. I have control. And then there's the convenient forgetfulness. To win any argument with a dishonest denial of actual events. Hey, wasn't that you? I saw push that person in front of the train. That wasn't me. But I saw you. You had the same clothes on. No, that wasn't me. I was at such and such. I got my boys there. They'll vouch for me. But I saw you. No, that wasn't me. The cold shoulder response. We know what that is. Fear of competition. These are signs and symptoms. When you are afraid of competition, you don't like competition. Competition makes you angry and violent and frustrated. The fear of dependency. When you are a person that feel that you have to do everything yourself because you don't like depending on other folks. That's a undercover, passive-aggressive type of move. You know, it's like I'm not coming right out and saying that I think you slow. But I'd rather do it myself because you just gonna mess it up. For real, that's it. And you know, and people feel this. You know, and this is rejection. This is a form of rejection. People feel that. When you're like, hey, can I help you? You need any help? And you look at them like, no, that's all right, I got it. That's okay. They feel that rejection. You know, the fear of intimacy as a means to act out anger. And this is the passive aggression often cannot trust because of this. They guard themselves against becoming intimately attached to someone. You know, people that can't have any kind of relationship with other people. You know, and they constantly pushing people away. You know, because of that fear of you ain't gonna do nothing but do me wrong. You're gonna stab me in the back. You ain't gonna come through. You ain't gonna be there for me like I need you to be there. You know, so I'd rather do it again. Be by myself. Do it myself. I can trust me. I can do for me. I know I ain't gonna fail me. You know, so I'd rather just go on ahead and do it myself. This is this passive aggressive behavior that's called a fear of intimacy, fear of having any relationships with other people. You know, and I see all three of them. I got them. I ain't even gonna lie, cause some people I think slow as hell, and that's wrong. That's wrong. It is. It's wrong. I'm working on it. I'm a work in progress, y'all. But here's another one: making chaotic situations. I know people that will cause confusion when confusion don't exist. You know, just for the heck of it. You know, I ain't gonna say that. I ain't gonna say nothing that's true. I'm trying to make up something. I mean, okay. Can you imagine being in a meeting, and the meeting's about, let's say, cleaning up the community. We decided to all come together and say we're going to form a community cleanup crew. You know, and then there's always that one person, what you going to clean up for? They ain't going to do nothing but mess it up. Yeah. But no, well, we got to clean it up, you know, and then we can keep it clean. Well, y'all keep it clean because I ain't finna waste my time. What you think? You think you won't? And then try to get other people, recruit other folks into their madness. Don't you think that's crazy? Why would you want to do that? See, this is these people. You know. Right. You going to spend money to clean up? Where you going to get the money? Making excuses for non-performance in work teams. Yeah, I know I was supposed to bring the potato chips. I know I was supposed to do that, but I forgot. We always forget, you know. I know y'all know people that's like that all the time. You know, you give them an assignment, they supposed to do their part, everybody do their part, but there's always that one person, you know, that you got to always have a plan B for. You know, because they never come through. But they good people. They good people. You know, they just got some issues. And let me see. Obstructionism. Always, again, that's almost just like what I was talking about earlier. People putting stumbling blocks in your path. You're trying to move forward. There's always somebody trying to throw us. And then sometimes we put our own leg in our own way. You know. And then we got the last two, sulking and victimization response. You know, the victim, instead of recognizing one's own weaknesses and tendencies to blame others for your own failures. These are all symptoms and signs of a person that has experienced and is passing on this passive-aggressive behavior. So a passive-aggressive person may not display all of these behaviors, but you're going to have some of them. You know, you may not have them all. You might have one, you may have two. But these are signs of that. Now, let's see. All right, let's move to page 9 real quick. We got about 5 minutes. I want to try to finish this. We almost done. Because I don't know if I'm going to get to the solution today. We might finish up the solution next Sunday. Get to the solution and move on to the next one. But on page 9, it talks about characteristics of people that suffer from rejection syndrome. These are the characteristics of people that suffer from this. They look for things to be critical about. They look for stuff. Man, it's dark in here. They didn't pay their light bill. Everywhere you go, you look for the critical. You become critical of every situation. You know, it's almost just like, what did they say about a person that's been abused? They grow up and become an abuser. Same thing. If somebody rejects you, you know, you grow up rejecting people. Here's another one, number 2. They say they don't think much of themselves, so they have to bring everyone and everything down to where they see themselves. So if I think I'm stupid, and if I think I'm slow and illiterate, I got to bring everybody down to my level. Everybody. And most times that's done based upon what is it called? Aggressive attacks of people's character. When you attack people's character, this was a story that somebody told me once upon a time, and I still use it today. There was a wise man and a damn fool walking down the street. No, I'm sorry. There was a wise man that was walking down the street, and this damn fool jumped out the bush and hit him in the head with a brick. Right? The wise man grabbed the fool by his throat and threw him down in the dirt, and they was rolling around in the dirt, scuffling. And the people in the city, they came out and they looked on the ground. They couldn't determine which one was the damn fool and which one was the wise man, because they both looked like a damn fool rolling around in the dirt. Right? See, again, that's the fool brought the wise man down to his level. You see what I'm saying? And so that's exactly what I'm saying. They use aggression or some form of attack on a person to bring you down to them, to make you act like them. 3, they say they have difficulties loving others. They don't love themselves, so it's difficult to love others. Number 4, it says they have feelings of inferiority. We know all about that. They don't believe that they measure up in any situations. See, now this is why when we get to the solution, you're going to find out how none of this really plays a role in any of our lives, because all of us are better than this. When we get to the solution, you'll see that. But we have to understand where the problem is before we can get to the point where we can solve it. They place a great deal of value and attention on clothing and material gain. They go after these things in order to get your attention and to bring value to themselves. You know, they want to have the updated styles. They want to drive the 2013 car. If it's 2014, they want a 2015. You know, they want to have the best everything. The best cell phone that's out, the new thing. You know, they want all of the new stuff. The new styles, the hairstyles, the clothing, everything. In order to what? Draw attention to themselves. They cannot take a compliment. Have you ever, I know you've done this. You say, oh wow, you look really beautiful today. What you mean today? I don't look beautiful no other day. Can't take a compliment. Got to find something madness in there. You know. I'm beautiful every day. What you mean today? They develop an attitude of superiority to mask their feelings of inferiority. You know, people that have an inferiority complex, they create this alter ego life, you know, of being better than everybody. You know, I'm better than you. I got to prove that I'm better than you. But in all actuality, deep down inside, I feel inferior. You know, but I have to create this alter ego. And if I can't prove to you that I'm better than you, then I beat you into submission into making you believe that I'm better than you. I intimidate you in some way to make you understand that in some way I'm better than you. You scared of me, ain't you? You see people and they make them jump. You see what I'm saying? They are very suspicious and untrusting. They have a hard time building friendships. They are aloof and are loners. They feel depressed about life and they have deep, hurtful emotions from the past. Well, our time is up, so I'm going to have to stop right there. But as you can see, when we really get down into this thing, it's all about what you think about you and who you are, yourself. And as it stands right now, we don't have anybody in our corner that's encouraging us to be the better of who we are. Most people, they always find the worst about you. You know, Mama Yolanda, we was talking about that the other day. You know how folks will be quick to call you when something's wrong.
Right.
You know, but when everything's going good, you can't get a call.
That's right.
That's a programming. You see what I'm saying? We program for the worst. We love a fight, but we don't want to see no hugging. We see some people hugging, we go, ugh. But a fight, we eager to see that. You know, this is how we've been programmed to think and act. And we have to break that programming. We have to reprogram ourselves to think and act differently. So with that, I thank you all for listening. Next week, we're going to go into the solution for all of this. And the basic solution, believe it or not, is forgiveness. We're going to go into it next Sunday. How forgiveness, first forgiving yourself. You got to learn how to forgive yourself. You do. And it's not easy, believe it, because we are our own worst critics. We are. And you have to learn how to forgive yourself for some things in order to be able to heal yourself from some of these challenges that we've experienced in our past, to be able to heal ourselves. I thank you all for listening. I'm going to leave you as I greeted you in the ancient but yet holy words of peace, which are Hotep, Shalom, Assalamu Alaikum, Abaragani, Alafia, and Ashe. Peace and God.
Nothing to stand.